What's up guys, Dan here, back again with another Amazon FBA video. If you guys are just getting started in researching how to sell on Amazon, this is gonna be absolutely great for you guys. And if you guys are wondering how do you ship into Amazon, there's so many different things that you think you might have to know. It's actually very simple and I'm gonna lay it all out in this video. Gonna completely make it simple for you guys. That way it's easy to follow and you know what to look for and what to watch out for. So at first, shipping into Amazon FBA seems super confusing. I know at the beginning when I was first starting to sell on Amazon, I was so confused. I was like, hey, there's shipping terms, there's air shipping, there's sea shipping, what the hell is a freight forwarder, right? I had no idea what was going on. And so the purpose of this video, I wanna make it just super simple. It's not hard at all. The idea of importing something from China and exporting it from China, then importing it into the United States, it might seem crazy, especially if you haven't done something with online business or importing and exporting before, but let me tell you guys, it's super simple. So let's get started. So there's two different types of shipping. So there's air shipping and there is sea shipping. So I'm gonna talk about both. So let's start with air shipping. I just wanna make it clear that for most of my Amazon selling career, I guess, I've been focusing on air shipping. So I've basically only been using air shipping for all of my products. And the reason why is because air shipping first of all, it's super quick. So before, a long time ago, when air shipping was way more expensive, the only option would have been to sea ship, and that's what turned a lot of people off from doing something like Amazon, right? And obviously now we've got Amazon Prime, we've got FBA, so it's just an amazing year to be doing e-commerce and to be getting started in e-commerce 2018, that is. But so air shipping is a super quick way to get product from China to the USA. It takes between, I would say, 5 and 7 days. There's even an express option, which takes even 2 to 3 days, so that can be very useful as well. So the reason why I like air shipping so much, other than the fact that it's super quick and super fast, is that you really just sit back and just wait until your product comes into Amazon, into the Amazon warehouse, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to mess with any kind of freight forwarders. You might not even know what that is right now. I'll explain in a second. But you just sit back and just hold on, and you just wait until the product gets to the Amazon warehouse. And I'll show you guys, and I'll talk about how you guys get that. Air shipping is significantly more expensive than sea shipping, but the problem is that sea shipping, it just takes forever. It can literally take, I think the average lead time for sea shipping, so the average time to ship, through the ocean and whatever, it's like 40 days or something like that. It's like a month and a half. So by the time you actually find a product, with online business and with any kind of business, when you find an opportunity, you see an opportunity, you wanna be super quick to execute. That's why I always prefer air shipping, and I always recommend it to everybody. Look for products, even though air shipping is more expensive, always look for products that still have an amazing profit margin per unit, so that still have the ability to make you a good profit, so maybe $10 profit per unit, even with the expensive air shipping, right? So don't try to increase your profit margin simply by switching to sea shipping. Trust me, it's not a good idea. Sea shipping is very long and tedious, and I would recommend it only for a specific kind of product, which I'm going to talk about later in this video. So for air shipping, you usually want to ship things that are small, maybe like this big, not things that are massive. Then, that's better for sea shipping because obviously it's significantly cheaper that way. With air shipping, there's two different factors that make shipping more expensive, and that's the weight of your product and the volume of your product. So, how much it weighs. Usually anything below 2 pounds, you'll get a good price on air shipping. Anything below 1.5 pounds, that's usually the benchmark. You'll get a good price on air shipping, but weight is not the only thing. So if your product could be light, but let's say, each product, it doesn't really collapse, it doesn't really fold in, and it's like this big, it's gonna be a hell of a lot to ship, especially if you're shipping out like 1,000 units of these big things, right? So that's when sea shipping comes in. But that's why I always recommend, if you're a beginner at Amazon, try to find a product that's small and always try to do air shipping because it's just super simple and you just sit back and relax and just wait until it comes into Amazon. So for air shipping, the carriers that I recommend are FedEx and DHL. So FedEx and DHL are the absolute best. There is a third option, there is UPS. However, you have to watch out. I don't think anyone else talks about this. Suppliers tend to try to get you to purchase UPS shipping through them, and you might even find that it's cheaper. So what the UPS shipping actually is there's no tracking. So there's no tracking until the product actually gets to the United States. Let's say if you're selling on Amazon USA. So basically what happens is the supplier, using their forwarder, they basically fly out your units and your product on like Air China or some other carrier like that, not like FedEx or DHL, not a cargo carrier, and they just they fly it out on some random airline, and then basically there's no tracking. So it gets to America, and once it actually lands in the United States, then UPS picks it up, and then they do the UPS ground, that I think through trucks or something like that. That's what UPS ground is, and then you actually get tracking. But it takes way longer than FedEx or DHL. And FedEx to DHL, If you're gonna do express, it's like 2 to 3 days. If it's not express, I think it's like 5 to 6 or 7 days. It's not a very long time, but be warned about the 3. So FedEx, DHL are the best, and then there's UPS, which takes between 10 to 15 days. So the typical cost for air shipping, this is only based on weight. It's like a benchmark. So $6 to $7 per kilogram. I mentioned this in another video on my channel here. So, ask your supplier, hey, what's the total weight of the units? And, let's say they say 100 kilograms. So 7 times 100, $700 is what the accurate shipping cost is. So with sea shipping, it's actually much more complicated than air shipping because you have to deal with ports and freight forwarders and things like that, which I'm going to talk about right now. So let's talk about the shipping terms here. So for sea shipping, you're going to need to know your shipping terms. So the first one is EXW, and you might have seen that. And what happens is the suppliers, they quote you a price in EXW, right? And what EXW stands for is X work. So imagine your supplier, your manufacturer, you tell them you buy your product and you tell them to make it. So imagine, they make your product and they literally just take all of your product, your ready-made product, and they just like literally shove it out the door and they just leave it on their front, in the front of their factory, and that's it. That's what X work is. So basically, if you're gonna do EXW, you're responsible for all the shipping, for getting it from the front door of the manufacturer of the factory in China all the way to the United States, to Amazon USA. Obviously, you don't want to do that, right? So there are other shipping terms I'm going to talk about which actually do everything for you. So with EXW, with X work, you're responsible for everything. So anything, that basically all they're saying, all the suppliers saying when they quote you a price in EXW is that, let's say they say like, $2 EXW. So for $2, basically we're going to manufacture this and we're just going to stick it out the front door. That's it. That's your problem. So that's what EXW is. You don't want to do X work. So the next shipping term is called freight on board. So that's FOB. So basically with freight on board, they go an extra step. So they're responsible for creating your product, for manufacturing your product, and then they're responsible for delivering it to their home port. So let's say, you're getting it from Shenzhen. That's a popular place in China. So basically they're responsible for getting it to the Shenzhen port. But then after that, you have to arrange for picking it up from the port in the United States with a freight forwarder and things like that. So that's what freight on board is. So basically half responsibility is yours and half responsibility is theirs. So their responsibility is to get it out of China. Your responsibility is to get it from the port in the United States to the Amazon warehouse. So obviously not optimal. So if you want to do freight on board, you're going to need a freight forwarder. And there's a bunch of great freight forwarders. There's a big one called Forest Shipping. They know a lot about sea shipping and Amazon FBA. So you can just go on their website and fill out a quote. I'm in no way affiliated with them. I just know that they're a good freight forwarder. So now we're going to get to the best one, and I always do this one with air shipping and with sea shipping, and this is called DDP. So what that means is delivered duty paid. So this is the best one because all the responsibility of shipping is on your supplier. So what you basically do is you use their freight forwarder and they arrange all the shipping by air or by sea to get to the Amazon warehouse door to door. That's all on them, and they even cover the customs fees. So that's what DDP is. So a lot of the time suppliers won't want to do DDP, and there are certain ways of getting them to do DDP because they're afraid of the customs duties that they might have to pay, when the product gets into customs. So basically there's a couple different ways. Sometimes they reduce the product value on the invoice for customs. Obviously that's not like ethical or anything like that, but that is a way. But to actually convince them to do DDP, what I would recommend is, this is what I do with all my suppliers, just explain to them you're trying to establish a long-term business relationship with them, and just explain to them, to tell DHL or FedEx that if there's any customs duties to charge your supplier, you're gonna have your supplier explain that to DHL or FedEx, and then just tell them if there's any customs duties, like to your supplier, tell them this, like pay the customs duties and then invoice me after and I'll pay you back. So I do that with all my suppliers, and if it's a trustworthy supplier and if they see that you're professional and that you're trustworthy, then they're gonna be willing to do that. Sometimes they're not, and if they're not, they just tell them, okay, like I'll cover the customs fees, and you really won't know what they are, until the product gets into customs. So make sure you tell your supplier, if they're not willing to do that whole like invoice thing, make sure you tell your supplier like, hey, give DHL or FedEx my phone number. If there's any customs fees, have them call me, and then basically give them your credit card, and then you pay the customs fees. So here's a secret that not a lot of Amazon gurus and like people on YouTube mention, and that's splitting your shipping between air and sea. So actually doing both. And the good part about this is, let's say, you want to get your product in quickly, but you don't want to pay that much shipping. So you can do maybe, let's say you have 500 units, you have a 500 unit order. So 200 units by air, 300 units by sea. So that could be good. The 200 units will come in like 5 to 7 days, and then, the rest is going to come later. But the problem with that is, and why you have to be very careful with it, is that let's say 200 units come in, they start selling super well, and you're out of stock, and you've literally, it's been a week or 2 weeks, and you literally have, an extra, like another 30 days or 25 45 days, for the rest of your product, you know, you've already sold out and the rest of your product is like stuck out there somewhere on a boat in the Pacific Ocean, right? So that's the problem with this whole method, so you have to be really careful. That's why I emphasize air shipping. Like, you know, you're better off finding a product that's not too expensive to ship, that's not too big or anything like that. And you know, there are great products out there. Don't worry about it. Just keep searching. You will find something. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that shipping now is super simple for you guys. As you can see, it's not very hard. So remember, always try to go for air, DDP, all right? So if you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys enjoy passive income, living your dreams, and creating passive income for yourself through online business, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Follow me on social media, Instagram and Snapchat. Link for the Amazon course is in the description below. It's the best Amazon course out there, and it includes my unlimited personal mentorship. You guys can get in that as well. So anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.